Hey guys, Philip Liebel here with Primitive Wilderness Survival, and today I want to spend just a few minutes talking about my favorite piece of gear and probably the most versatile piece of gear that we offer, and that is the PWS multi-purpose cloth. Alright guys, so you can find these on our website, primitivewildernesssurvival.com. We have them in 5 different colors, some really nice, vibrant colors if you want to look cool while you're out in the woods. They also come with our logo printed on one corner of them, so it'd be the top right corner. But these are not called the multi-purpose cloth for no reason. There are so many things you can do with these. They're super versatile, and we're going to jump straight into that right now. Okay, so my favorite way to use this multi-purpose cloth is a form of conveyance or a way of carrying gear. So I'll unfold this, and then I'll take my gear. Normally I'm not carrying too much, so maybe a water bottle, a way to make fire, and a knife blade. Okay, so I'll roll that up, whatever I'm carrying, diagonally. So I'll start at one corner and roll towards the other corner. Okay, and then I'm going to take these two ends and twist opposite directions. And that's going to keep that from coming undone as I'm running around through the woods. So I'll go opposite directions. And then normally I'll carry this on my back, right above my waist. So I'll put it right there where it feels really nice and comfortable. Tie that off with a square knot. And now I have my gear on my back. It's a really easy way to carry this. I can run around through the woods. I can duck under stuff, do all kinds of crazy movement, and this isn't going to go anywhere. Okay? And then if you're collecting stuff along the way, you can unroll that, put it back in there. I can throw a fire kit right here. And normally I'll run this through, I'll treat this like a belt. I'll run it through the belt loop on my knife sheath, and I'll have my knife attached to this or to my belt, either one, and then I'll stick a hand drill kit in there or in the back, and you can gather up stuff along the way. The nice thing about using this as a pack is that the size of this will grow to whatever you put in it, right? So you're not stuck with like a fanny pack or a chest pack where you can only fit so much stuff in those. As I add stuff to this, it's going to grow, and I can fit a lot of stuff in here. I've traveled, for a week across the desert with just one of these and whatever I could gather along the way. And as that trip progressed, it kept getting fuller and fuller and fuller, but it held everything I needed it to hold. So that's my favorite way to use this. Really handy, and that's how you'll see me use it about 90% of the time. Another way that I use this a lot is a way to regulate my core body temperature. So in my opinion, a scarf is one of the most underrated pieces of kit. So I can wrap this around my neck, tuck it in, use it as a scarf. Now a scarf acts as a medium-sized sweater, okay? But a sweater is only a sweater, right? I can wear a sweater, but that's really all I can do with it. I can make char cloth and maybe use it as a bag or something like that, but I'm kind of limited on what I can do with a sweater. But with this multi-purpose cloth, as you're going to see, we can do 1,000 different things. But I can also use it as that scarf, right? So I'll make a whole other video on the usefulness of a scarf, but highly underrated piece of gear in my opinion, especially obviously during the winter time. During the summer or the spring, warmer times of the year, you can use this just to drape over you and create some shade. Keep that sun off you. Sunburn is one of the worst things you can do during the summer, especially if you're already a little bit dehydrated. I can also take this and I can dip it in some water, get it really nice and wet, and just drape that over my neck and help cool off my entire body. So you'll kind of see a trend here that whether it's hot or cold, we try to put that kind of around our neck where these main arteries run close to the surface, because by cooling or heating those main arteries, we can help our body regulate that temperature a lot easier, okay? So another thing I can do with this is, again, I can soak it in the water and then do kind of a variation to where I'm using it as shade, but I also have this soaked down with water. So now I'm going to turn to where the wind is at my back, and it's going to create an evaporative cooling technique. So as the wind blows through this thing with that cold water or cool water, it's going to help blow my body heat away and cool off my entire body pretty efficiently. Okay, so a great way to help regulate your core body temperature, whether it's hot or cold. At night you can also use this kind of as a small blanket, or you can fill this full of debris and duff and use that as a blanket or a pillow. A way to get up off of the cold floor, create some dead air space, and again, just help regulate that body temperature. So lots of unique ways you can use this for that task. So we talked about how this is great for carrying gear, but this is also great for carrying materials as well. So if I have a bunch of firewood here that I want to collect, rather than dragging all this stuff back or making multiple trips, I can throw this down, start piling firewood on top of it, and now I can get a really good sized bundle of materials, and then I can take this multi-purpose cloth, tie that up, and basically hold it all together and give myself a handle so I can carry a lot of materials out a lot easier. So it's great for firewood. It's also great for shelter building materials. So if I'm going out and collecting grass and leaves and stuff to throw on top of my primitive debris hut, whatever shelter I might build, this is a great way because we're going to really quickly use up all the resources in whatever area we build our shelter. So as we start getting further and further away, if I were to try to carry all these in my hands, walk all the way back, I'm going to make dozens and dozens of trips. With this multi-purpose cloth, I can open this up, throw it down on the ground, throw all the leaves on that, and make one trip and get a whole bunch of leaves per trip. So this is a great area here with a ton of leaves. The problem is that it's about 25 yards, 30 yards from my shelter. So I've already used up all the leaves around my shelter, and I'm having to, walk out pretty far. If I were to gather these up by hand and carry them back to my shelter and throw it on there, I'm going to use a really significant amount of energy. Right? I'm going to be walking back and forth dozens of times. But if I clear out a spot like this, and then I throw this blanket down, or my multi-purpose cloth, now I can basically stand on that and fill that cloth completely up with all of these leaves. And I can do this pretty rapidly. So I can quickly get this blanket completely full of debris. And now I just take my four corners pull those together, and I can carry a lot more debris. Okay, so another use for this is improvised first aid. Now I do want to take a second and clarify that this should not be your first aid option. Okay, you should never plan to improvise. You should never plan to be unprepared. Okay, you should have the things you need for first aid. You should have a tourniquet, you should have ways to pack wounds, splints, all of that kind of stuff. If you're a serious outdoorsman, and especially if you have people with you, you should keep that kind of stuff with you. But if you end up in the backcountry without that stuff, and you find yourself in need of medical assistance, and you have one of these, it can be a useful tool. Okay, so we can use this firstly just as a way to pack a wound. We can cut a bunch of this off, shove it down in the wound, use this to apply pressure, and you know, it could save our life. Okay, again, don't plan to be unprepared, don't plan to improvise, but we could use it for that. We could use this as a tourniquet. Okay, we could wrap this around, tie it off, and then get a stick and create a windlass, crank that down, but again, it is not as effective as a true tourniquet. Okay, and we could also use this as a splint. So if I break my leg, get 2 pieces of wood, tie that around, create that splint, and hopefully get back to some real medical help, back to safety, and get out of the situation I'm in. Again, do not consider this your first aid option, okay? But it can be useful. So another option with this is to create char cloth. So if I'm out here with minimal gear and I have to get a fire going with a hand drill, or I choose to get a fire going with a hand drill, and then all of a sudden a rainstorm comes in or the situation gets worse, and I need a way to make fire again more easily. So if I have a high carbon steel knife, okay, that I can create some sparks with, create flint steel, and some cloth that I can put in my bottle and create some char cloth with, it's going to make it a lot easier to get more fire going if my fire dies out. So I want to make sure that I have a backup plan in case I need to. So I can cut off some of this cloth, put it in this bottle, create some kind of lid. It doesn't have to be airtight. We just want to keep this thing from igniting. Okay, so create some kind of lid, maybe use a nesting bottle to go over the top. You're not going to use this because this will melt. Okay, but some way to block most of the oxygen off, and then superheat that cloth inside that bottle and create some char cloth. Okay guys, so those were just a few of the options of what we can do with this multi-purpose cloth. If I were to create a video that contained everything we could do with this and went into detail on all of that, it would be a 2-hour movie. Okay, but I just want to show you a few of the really innovative ways that you can use a multi-purpose cloth. Again, the sky is the limit. One of our greatest survival skills is innovation and creativity. So be creative, be innovative. I want to hear some ways that you might use this, but this is just a short list, and like I said, I'll go into more detail. I'll make videos on each one of these and some more detailed videos on the actual things that we talked about today, but just a quick list of things that we can do with this multi-purpose cloth. So check out our website, grab one of these. They're really cheap and really versatile, and you're not going to regret it. So I've been using one for years, and I think you guys are going to love them as well. So the PWS multi-purpose cloth at primitivewildernesssurvival.com. And please like and subscribe. Be sure to follow our YouTube channel here. We're going to have a lot more stuff coming up really soon. 2023 is going to be big. And man, it sounds really weird to say 2023. But anyway, it's going to be a really big year, and I'm planning to have some really epic videos coming out soon. So follow along, and we'll see you guys in the next one.